So this is my walk to the veg shop and the chai shop. It's pretty relaxed here. As long as you wear a mask, then the police don't give you any trouble. A lot of rain now, but the sun is still shining in between the rainstorms, so it's pretty good really.
Hello everyone, so this is going to be a demonstration on making masks from cardboard. Cardboard is a really easy to use material, it's very easy to get hold of. You can, if you don't have any at home, you can go to your local newsagent or your co-op or any shopping centre, and usually they'll give you cardboard for free. So what you're going to need for this video, for this workshop, is cardboard. Ideally you want a nice thin type of cardboard, so you want one that's really easy to cut with scissors. See? Sometimes the boxes come really thick and they're like two layers, so there's this jagged layer and then there's another layer on top, and sometimes they can be 2 or 4 layers thick. This is really difficult to cut with scissors. It can be great if you're building a big structure, but then you will need to use a knife or a different tool to cut it. So for these simple masks, just try and get a nice thin, easy to work with cardboard. You're going to need newspaper, so just any old newspaper will do. You'll need scissors, masking tape, so masking tape is the paper tape, and possibly some gaffer tape is useful to have, this strong, really strong tape to hold your headband together. Possibly a glue gun if you have one, but if you don't have a glue gun, don't worry about that. And then you'll need some PVA glue, some paintbrushes and some paints. So the masks that we're going to make, you can choose whichever design you like. So anything you can think of really, you can do. So it could be a kind of tribal design, or it could be an animal, or it could be something based on nature with flowers, leaves, you know, anything you like really. So first of all, have a think about what it is you'd like to make. Obviously you can search on Google, you can always find really nice images on the internet. So the 2 samples that I'm going to show you, first of all, this one is kind of quite a sort of tribal kind of shape. So a little hole for the nose to come out, and a full face kind of mask. You might just want to do a half mask. These are very traditional for carnival, so something like this, and then you could build shapes, feathers coming off of it, whatever you like. Or you might want to go a bit more 3D and make a kind of animal of some description. So I'm in Kerala at the moment, and there's lots of elephants here. So here you go. This is my Indian-inspired elephant. So it might look complicated, but even something like this is quite simple to make really. So get your materials together and think about your design, and then we can start making. So first of all, you need to make the base for your mask. So it could be a shape like this, it could be a half mask, or it could be something that's going to cover your whole face. But the most important thing is, if you want to wear this mask, is you need to know where your eyes are going to be, and it needs to fit your face properly. So first of all, you want to start with a piece of paper. I've got a double piece here from my sketchbook, and I'm just going to kind of measure the length of my face. So I'm putting it down the middle of my face here. Find that kind of middle spot there in between my eyes, and I'm just going to feel for where my eye is. So I can feel that my eye is right there, and then I'm going to just mark that point there. And then the easiest way to cut out is to fold it, and I'm going to cut a really small eye to begin with. I don't want to cut too big, because if it's not quite in the right place, we're going to have to start again. So there we go, nice small shape, and then open it out, see, and then I can see out of here. And then you want to do the same with your nose, so you can do it like this. Feel my nose. My eyes are there, my nose is there. And I'm just going to cut again, quite a small hole to begin with, because you can get bigger, but if you cut too big, you can't go smaller. So there's my sort of starting point. Now, if you want to make a half mask at this point, then you could start to draw that shape here, and design the half mask. So however you want it, something like this, or it could have something coming down. From here, basically, this is our starting point. You can do whatever you want. So it could be that you just draw a nice big circle, but it doesn't need to be a circle. I mean, it could be a square, it could be, you can be really creative. If you want to do something like an animal, so with the elephant, I basically started with a sort of half mask type shape, and I just made it a little bit longer, just so that there was a little bit more to stick the structures on, the ears at the side. So your first thing really is to get that first shape, what you want your mask to be. So this is what I'm going to make today with you. It's kind of based on a sun god type character. So as you can see, this is a very round shape, whereas the first one that I did, this guy here, was quite an oval shape. So the first stage is getting this nice shape for your mask, and then anything else from there is just built on top. Also, once you've done your design, don't worry too much about the detail, because sometimes when you draw it, there's a lot more detail when you start making it in 3D. You don't need every single little point, so some of it can just be painted on, some of it can be, some of it, it's a design, it's kind of a loose design to begin with. Once you start making in 3D, it comes alive in many different ways. So get your eyes and face marked out, and then decide what shape you want your mask to be. So we're going to look a little bit at the structure. If you want to make a mask with some 3D shapes, such as the elephant. So you could do any animal that's got a nose coming out, a beak, perhaps for a bird, or maybe some horns, some big spikes. But what we're going to look at is just making a 3D shape. So the way I started was by looking at the profile of the elephant, so the trunk. So again, I kind of looked in the mirror, got a piece of paper, and just kind of drew a shape that I thought would make a nice trunk, and that would also not bash into me, be too long, too heavy, and would work with my face. So I started off with this shape, it's kind of trunk shape, and then cut out 2 pieces. So I'm just going to start by cutting one either side. 2 pieces here, and then the next stage is just to make a piece that fits in between these 2 pieces. So to do that, you just need to know the length. So if you've got a tape measure, You can measure it with a tape measure. If you don't have a tape measure, you can just use a piece of string, or maybe you've got a ruler and you can kind of roughly get the measurement, because do it a little bit longer and then you've got plenty. So let's see, we're going to measure this line. It's about 21 centimetres. Now I'm going to draw out this on a piece of paper. So marking 21 there and there. And again, it's really nice to work on a folded piece of paper if you want a symmetrical shape. So just fold it in half. And then the next thing is to think about the width you want. So with the trunk, it's a little bit thinner at the end and thicker at this point. So you're not going to know exactly what that measurement is to begin with, but you can kind of get a rough idea just by holding your two sections up together how you want it. So something like this, and then you kind of figure out that distance here. So let me see, 6 centimetres. And then the bottom bit, a little bit skinnier. That's about 4 centimetres. And again, if you work on the fold, it's a nice way to get a nice symmetrical shape. Easier if you have a long ruler. And maybe do it a little bit longer, because you can always use this bit to stick onto the head afterwards. And so that's the top section. So that's going to fit nicely into this shape here. Now you're going to cut this out of the cardboard. So again, when you're doing something like this, you can see these nice grooves in the cardboard. It's going to bend and take that curve really nicely. So sometimes you don't want it to do that. Sometimes you kind of want a nice straight shape. Whereas for this, you want it to curve. So if you use the cardboard that way, it's not necessarily going to take the shape as well. So put it here, and then you can work with this piece. Really nice curly shape. I'm going to mark there and there. Those points there and there. Okay, so now you've got your top section, and underneath I just did a very small bit, not full way. So again, if you want to make a horn or something sticking up, you'll need to make 2 of these points, these shapes, sorry. But I only did a very short bit there because you don't see that, so I'm just going to cut another sort of third of that shape. Now we're going to work with the trunk. We're going to get our masking tape and we're just going to start to position the top section inside. See here, now because we're on that bendy bit of the cardboard there, that takes the curve really nicely. Side, and then just do the same again on the other side. And a little bit more there. See that it's taking shape there. And obviously we're going to cover it with a newspaper afterwards, so this will be really nice and strong. And then put the little bottom section on. You might want to just fold it a little bit so that it's making that nice curved shape first. And there we have our nice 3D trunk. And you can keep that piece for sticking it on. Just want to take these. And that could be useful just for sticking it onto a nice little flap there. And then you can decide how you want to do the nose. So again, with an elephant, you know, we've kind of got this maybe slightly piggy looking nose, but you know, do a bear or a lion or whatever, so you know, look at the shape. And that piece is very flat, 2D. So it's nice just using a combination of 2D and 3D. So I'm going to look at the shape that I've got. Take a pen. heart shape. There we go, there's that sort of heart nose shape. Maybe it could be a little bit bigger, and cutting nostrils, hole for the nostrils, so that's got that kind of quite cute little heart-shaped nose there. And then we chose the shape for the face we looked at earlier. There we go, and then that's just going to stick on there. And as you can see, other parts of it, the tusks, are just simple 2D. The ear, again, I just drew out the shape of an ear and then cut that out, just stuck it on. Headpiece, and that's it really. You can do as much of it in 2D as you want, and making sections in 3D, just make it come alive a little bit more. So just